Hello and welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234 to kick things off. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So, Mike, I was looking outside. There was this Easter bunny thing looking very depressed. I saw him with a bottle of booze in one hand, crying. And I said, "What's the matter?" And he said, it's anticlimactic. What's anticlimactic? He says, "I work for like a month. I collect eggs. I get carrots. They give me all this candy. All these kids come around me. And then after Monday, nada." So I felt
That's
kind of
it.
bad. I sent them to a 12-step.
Well, I mean, why can't he join Santa on a little holiday, Take the
You
rest of
don't
the
want to know
week
about
off.
Santa. The doctor, the therapist who comes on like once a month and talk. Well, let's just say that Santa is her best friend. It's a whole
Oh
other
boy, oh
story.
boy.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
it's like a
how's that
throwback to
forecast?
wintertime. It's like a throwback to
Steel.
wintertime for the next few days, Ken. Cold, really cold. We'll actually have freezing temperatures that arrive later on tonight, maybe even with a few flurries. We had some light drizzly spots early this morning, so the ground might be a little wet waking up, headed out the door, but most of the snow that's falling is actually just off to our north. Maybe Sussex County gets clipped. That's what you see with these shades of blue upstate. It's this very cold weather that dives on down, giving us like a little throwback to colder times as winter doesn't really want to quit just yet. You have to head way out west. We're talking west coast to enjoy some of that warmer weather, 15 to 20 degrees above average there. So back here in the Northeast, the futurecast showing that today, with the clouds clearing out, it'll be sunny all afternoon, but struggling just to make it out of the 40s at several degrees below average. It's clear enough tonight with this high pressure to allow for some freeze and frost advisories down across southern New Jersey because the growing season actually begun across Ocean and County and South. And then by Friday into Thursday, or Thursday into Friday, we get some of these winds off of the water, which keep it cool through the morning, maybe get some clouds each morning, and then eventually see the sun return by Saturday, helping us to warm back into those spring-like temperatures. So it's a lot of wet weather off to our south that stays there. We are enjoying the clear sky here across the Northeast for the next several days, but if you're traveling down to Florida, a lot of people on spring break, buckets of rain. We're talking several inches over the last several days. We'll talk more about that part of the forecast, Ken, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. We already have some issues to report in the area traffic-wise. Looks like the folks have said, okay, we had our holidays, time to get back to work. So let's take a look right now. We have, first off, a crash that was just reported on I-80, local lanes westbound, east of exit 65, Green Street in South Hackensack Township. Left lane of 2 lanes closed on that. We also have issues, again, with the parking facilities. We've been talking about this for a week because it's still technically spring break time. Even though a lot of kids are back from spring break. Now you have little kids. You have the college kids who are back from spring break, but now you have the little kids who have midwinter and things like that, or spring vacation. So what you have is airport parking lots, again, full at capacity. So if you are headed to an area airport, make sure you have a reserved parking space if you're driving yourself there. Otherwise, take an Uber or a Lyft. That's your best bet. Big issue to report now, Route 21 southbound, exit 14, Route 46 in Clifton. All lanes are closed. You hear that? Route 21 southbound. There is a crash with injuries, so that means it's going to take a while. All lanes are closed, and that is by exit 14, Route 46 in Clifton. Big interchange, and that is all lanes closed. That's going to last a while. Crash with injuries now. Overturned tractor trailer 2 and a vehicle off the roadway, New Jersey Turnpike southbound exit ramp. That's by interchange 7A. And that, according to our traffic report here, that is causing issues all the way down. It says by the southbound exit ramp interchange 7A, 195 Robbinsville, left lane and left shoulder are blocked. What a mess. Look at the Hudson River crossings right now. Lincoln and Holland both already reporting 30 minutes. GWB upper and lower levels. Take a look. The lower level is on the left. If you take a look at that, it looks like everybody decided to take the upper level. Who knows why? But the upper level is your best bet right now. It's only going to cost you your lower level is your best bet, rather. It's only going to cost you 10 minutes. And the upper level right now is going to cost you about 20 to 25. Not bad overall, but nonetheless, it is some traffic. Over on the West Coast now, we have a traffic collision with unknown injuries in Baldwin Park. It's on Route 60 by the Fairway Drive off ramp. Also, we have it says missing elderly person with a silver alert. That's in LA at 2901 West Broadway. So please be careful of that. President Trump called the proposed Iran ceasefire significant, but said that it is not acceptable as currently written. The proposal would involve a 45-day ceasefire, which the president says is a no-go. President Trump says today is the deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face intense military strikes. He warned of attacks on essential Iranian infrastructure if a deal, is not reached. U.S. officials have detained relatives of the late Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in Los Angeles. Secretary of State Rubio revoked their green cards over support for and promotion of Iran's totalitarian theocratic government. Soleimani's niece and grandniece, who post pictures of themselves online living a glamorous California lifestyle with expensive clothing and luxury cars, are now under arrest in ICE custody and look like they may be deported. Ironically, the two publicly curse America while living it up like Hollywood celebs. If they tried doing that in Iran, they would be arrested. Now they don't have Uncle Soleimani to defend them. He's dead. President Trump threatened to jail journalists over leaking sensitive U.S. government information that could have resulted in the deaths of U.S. airmen in Iran. Trump said the government would push media outlets to reveal their sources under these circumstances. The administration launched an investigation into the leak involving a second airman safely rescued from Iranian territory. Critics argue the move raises First Amendment concerns, but there are many examples of U.S. media and journalists being charged with crimes for revealing sensitive information that could jeopardize the lives of our current service members. Well, check this out. This is the clearest image of the moon, especially the dark side of the moon, ever recorded in human history. The crew of Artemis 2 has surpassed the record previously set by Apollo 13 astronauts back in 1970, when I was this many, for the farthest distance ever traveled from our home planet. It happened just before 2 p.m. yesterday. That record was set by the Apollo 13 crew initially in 1970. Then the Orion spacecraft made its closest approach to the moon around 7 p.m. last night, coming within 4,000 miles of the surface. Imagine the spacecraft was as close to the surface almost as New York is to San Diego. Orion then reached its farthest point from Earth just a few minutes later, achieving a maximum distance of nearly 253,000 miles. There was also a 40-minute period of total silence when Artemis 2 was out of communications with Earth. They were on the dark side of the moon. There was no satellite to bounce the signal, but they came out of it around 7:30 last night. They were able to communicate once again. They are already more than halfway done with that 10-day mission already. Imagine we had a member of NASA on the day of the mission, the beginning. Former White House Chief Strategist Steve Bannon is likely to have his contempt of Congress conviction dismissed after a U.S. Supreme Court decision sent the case back to a lower court. Bannon was convicted in 2022 for refusing to comply with subpoenas related to the January 6th Capitol riot investigation. He's already served a 4-month prison sentence, so the dismissal is basically symbolic, so he doesn't have a record. The lower federal court in D.C. will now reconsider the case, and the government has moved officially to dismiss it. The Professional Women's Hockey League hosted a sold-out game at Madison Square Garden with over 18,000 fans Sunday night. That is a packed house. The New York Sirens, our favorites, beat the Seattle Torrent 2-1 in a shootout. The event set a U.S. attendance record for a professional women's hockey game. Go women! The iconic Billie Jean King was among a number of incredible historic female athletes who took part in all of the pregame ceremonies. We're so proud of the Sirens. And USA Today and the youth publication Sun launched a national contest inviting students in grades 5 through 12 to design a flag representing their vision of the United States. It's meant to encourage youth to express ideas about democracy, identity, and the future ahead of America's 250th anniversary. Students must submit a digital flag design along with a short written explanation, with submissions open through May 19th. Winners would receive cash prizes, and entries would be showcased in a public gallery. Kind of exciting. Good to get students involved. I want to go back for a second, if we can, talking about the Artemis 2. Just think about this. Imagine being one of only 4 people in something that is bigger, just a little bit bigger than a van. Okay, you are in a van and you are hundreds of thousands of miles away from Earth, and there is nothing that can help you. Nobody can save you. If there is a leak, if you hit a meteor, there is nothing. You are on your own. Whatever you have with you in that little van is what you have with you. If you're hungry, you got what you got to eat on board, and that's that. If you're thirsty, you got what you got to drink on board, etc., etc. You are with a crew that you have trained with for years. These are your best friends for life. Seriously. And you are basically in their hands. Something goes wrong, if they can't help you, nobody on the, I was going to say on the planet, nobody in the universe can, except for our Creator. That must be an incredible feeling, especially the moment when they were for 40 minutes on the dark side of the moon with no contact with humanity. And they were literally the ambassadors of the human race to the entire universe. God bless our Artemis 2 crew. They will be back in just a few days, and I'm sure there will be celebrations nationwide. It is 13 minutes past the hour. When we return, a creative, family-friendly event brought the world of video games to life right here in New Jersey. Kind of fun. We'll tell you all about it. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full forecast, and we will take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We are now live on the East Coast in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, West Coast, Los Angeles, San Diego, and guess what? Little secret. We are beta testing our Florida channel on FLA. You could check it out if you want to see what it looks like now, onfla.com. It's still in its infancy stages, but that's going to be next for the people in the Sunshine State. We're going to be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato for your Tuesday live in New Jersey and New York. Now we welcome Los Angeles and San Diego, 15 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike, here I thought we were into spring already, and Mother Nature said, not so fast.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a cooler feel over the next several days, Ken. We actually start off this morning with temperatures around the freezing mark and falling quickly going into this afternoon. So, with this cool weather system that allows for some snow to fall off to our north today, a lot of that core of the cold air moves into New Jersey overnight into tomorrow. So, it'll feel even colder this time tomorrow as warm weather warms up places out west all the way down toward the coast. So, as the LA area features the dry, sunny weather for the next few days, it's all about the chill setting up here in the Northeast, especially for tomorrow. Sunny all day long tomorrow, but it'll be very cool. Likewise, now with the little front that passes on by Thursday into Friday, we see clouds come in by the end of the week, but that also brings in some milder weather, which will send our highs well back up into average territory by the 50s by the time we get to Thursday and Friday. So we have a few clouds around again for Thursday. Friday should clear out very nicely. And then as we head into Saturday and Sunday, a mix of clouds in the morning, back to sun by the afternoon. Sunday looks dry, and then warmer still by Monday. Out west, it is nice and dry and stays warm over the coming days. Look at that clear sky up and down the coast, and we'll keep it that way going into the rest of this weekend.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Taking a look at traffic, and yes, appreciate you. 48 degrees right now, northern New Jersey. We also have 46 degrees in Trenton. It is 65 degrees right now, looking at Southern California, and 64 degrees in San Diego. Usually, it is not that kind of temperature. Usually, it's just the other way around. It's usually a little bit warmer in excuse me as I switch things around here. Usually a little bit warmer in San Diego than Los Angeles, but we have just the opposite. It is 7:17. We look at traffic now. We have a crash on I-80 local lanes westbound east of exit 65 Green Street South Hackensack, right lane of 3 lanes closed. We have a crash with injuries, Jersey Turnpike, overturned tractor trailer and a vehicle off the roadway. And this is southbound exit ramp interchange 7A, Robbinsville, with the left lane and shoulder currently blocked. We have problems now already at the Lincoln Tunnel, 35 to 40, we're told, going in. It's 25 to 30 at the Holland. GWB upper and lower levels, not so bad on the lower. You'll take a look at this. You'll see the lowers on the left moving pretty well. Upper, they're saying, is about 10 to 15. Lower is only 10 minutes in. To the West Coast, to LA, we go right now. The only problems we really have, we have a traffic collision in East LA at 5181 Pomona Boulevard, another collision in Baldwin Park at the 60 and Fairway Drive off ramp. And they're saying there's some weather conditions. We'll ask Mike about that. And we have a silver alert, missing elderly person in LA. Valentine Cepeda is the name, 2901 West Broadway, last known address. So please, if you see somebody elderly, it's only 4:18 in the morning in Los Angeles. If they are wandering, call police and let them know. Don't approach the person. You might frighten them. Just let them know. And hopefully we'll get them reunited with their families. 18 minutes past the hour. One of the largest class action settlements in U.S. history is now moving forward, potentially affecting millions of Americans who've used Roundup or similar weed killers. The case centers around long-term health concerns and aims at addressing claims that may not surface for years. Joining us now to break it all down is Christopher A. Seeger, co-lead class counsel at Seeger Weiss LLP. And we say good morning to you, Christopher. Good to have you on.
Good morning. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Tell us the overview of the case and why it is so important to get people on board now for something that may not actually show up with them for years to come.
Exactly. Thank you for asking me that. So, the Roundup litigation's been going on for a long time. Roundup is clearly associated with causing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it was time really to put a settlement in place that'll be there for people who have been exposed, handled, applied Roundup, should, God forbid, they come down with this horrible disease. So the settlement right now is going to probably reach about $7.25 billion. It will be available for the next 20, 21 years. And for people who have handled Roundup and are diagnosed, they can file claims once it's approved by the court. And for folks who are okay today, and hopefully they stay that way, but may develop non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in the future, the settlement will be there for them.
How does somebody prove, though, that they used Roundup at some point if they don't have receipts or whatnot from the past? How do you prove that it was Roundup?
So, that's going to be handled by a claim administrator. But just to answer your question directly, it could be anywhere from evidentiary proof that you purchased it. It could be a credit card receipt. It could be an affidavit from a consumer that says, I'm declaring and representing under oath to the court that I've handled Roundup. I've been buying it for years. I paid cash. So they're all forms of receipts. And for occupational users, landscapers and folks who work with this day in and day out, records from an employer, compensation records. We're not trying to keep people out on any kind of a technicality. We want this settlement to cover everybody. So we've tried to make the claims process as simple as possible for people who have really used Roundup and have been exposed to glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup that causes NHL or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
So it's not that unlike, if you will, the 9/11 cancer settlements. For people need to get on the list now because it could take 10, 15 years, 20 years before you develop symptoms. And then you could trace those symptoms back to that chemical causing that, right? We know for a fact that this particular chemical in Roundup has resulted in, as you mentioned, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, very specific type of cancer, just like with the people with 9/11. There's a list of cancers directly connected to all of the toxins that came out of that building. And so if you lived within a certain number of miles, that's how they linked the cancers to 9/11. In this case, we know that people who come here, this thing that I thought about, how many people who may not have been legal migrants who came here and worked for landscapers for a decade or more, and maybe are living in the shadows, who develop cancer, who have no health insurance. And how many of those people are literally going to go crawl off and die because they don't realize that they could actually take part in this?
I mean, that is another excellent point here. I mean, that's the reason we're here on TV, and thankfully you are giving us this time to talk about it. We're trying to get notice out to everybody. We want everybody who's ever touched or handled Roundup, who is either diagnosed now with NHL or is just, they're fine, but they've handled it for years. They've been putting it in their garden. You were somebody who worked for a landscaper for several summers and were exposed to it through the summer. Yeah, anybody who's handled it and they knowingly knew that they were handling Roundup should pay attention to this settlement. They should go to the website, frankly, right now, if they're listening, which is weedkillerclass.com, and find out what their rights are. It's really important that they understand what's being offered.
Yeah. I mean, should anyone and everyone who's dealt with this chemical be concerned? If you used Roundup once or twice around your house, should you be concerned as well? Or is it more for the people who used it seasonally every year, et cetera? Which people should be more concerned?
So, if somebody used it once or twice, again, I would go to the website, weedkillerclass.com. I'm sorry that I keep repeating it, but I want to make sure folks listening get it. And it'll tell you exactly what the exposure levels you need to have to qualify for compensation. It's not that much, though. It might not be one time that you touched it or handled it. But most folks didn't just use it once. Most folks had it in their garage, and when they saw weeds, would apply it to kill their weeds. So the exposure levels are low enough for most people who've handled it to qualify for the settlement. But it's going to be much safer if folks who are concerned about it go on the website and look at exactly what's being offered on that.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to my grandfather used to keep it in the garage. I remember it when I was a kid, and I remember we used to move it. I mean, I'm thinking, how many times could we have been exposed by moving it from this point in the garage to that point in the garage? You don't know what you inhaled at that point or what got into your skin. This stuff gets into your skin very easily. So yeah, it doesn't hurt to be on the list. And we'll deal with it later in terms of what kind of compensation you get. And that's a key. We're not talking here, oh, we're trying to grub some money. We're talking, you might have cancer, you might not be able to live, you might not be able to work, and you might leave your family with nothing. This is what this is about. This is about your life being unfairly taken prematurely because of something you had nothing to do with. You were honestly just trying to kill weeds, and you had no idea. You didn't sign up to die early.
And there was no warning on the label, so nobody would have known handling this that it was a dangerous product. And there's something else I really think that listeners have to be aware of. The company Monsanto, which is now owned by Bayer, there are some financial issues with the company. It's another reason we wanted to put this settlement together. There's 50, 60,000 filed cases or cases that we know of out there. And if each one of them intended to go to trial, they'd be trying cases in the court system for 200 years. People will die before they get their day in court. And that's the beauty of a global settlement. And there's one other issue, if you don't mind me mentioning it, but there's a very technical legal issue that is up before the United States Supreme Court. The case is going to be argued, I believe, in April. There might be a decision by this summer. And if it goes the wrong way for consumers, these claims could be wiped out. So people have to be aware that there is this big issue before the United States Supreme Court. If the plaintiffs lose it, the cases could be gone. And if the plaintiffs win it, they're not. But then you still have the problem of, with 40, 50,000 cases out there, when are you going to get your day in court? There's only one way to really get justice for everybody who's been exposed to this, and that is through a global settlement like the one we're offering right now.
Yeah, it may not be. I mean, I guess the individuals go because they want to get the largest reward just for themselves. But when you go in terms of a class action suit like this, you have more people arguing their claims together. There's power in numbers like that, and you're more likely to get heard by a court that might reach some kind of a settlement, or the company itself, as you very well know. I don't have to tell you that. I'm only speaking from the 18 lawyers in my family that I hear all the time. A company like that, and yes, there are. It's I earned sainthood, by the way, from that.
No doubt you do. No doubt you do. And by the way, as a fellow New Jersey resident, I want my fellow New Jerseyans to know that if you've handled this stuff, please go on the website, wekillerclass.com, and understand your rights. It's very important.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, and it's there for you so that you can be protected, and your family. More importantly, God forbid something happen to you, your family's protected. Great to have you on. Very important information. Christopher A. Seeger, co-lead class counsel at Seeger Weiss LLP. Very important information about Roundup. Go to that website. Say it one more time, Christopher.
Weedkillerclass.com, and I can't thank you enough for giving me this time with you.
Thank you so much, Christopher. You bet. Have a great day, and thanks for coming on this morning. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the town of Cranford and some great stuff they did with the local community regarding Super Mario. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato for your Tuesday live in New Jersey and New York. And now we welcome Los Angeles and Florida as well. 30 minutes past the hour. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Pam, I don't know if you heard me, Pam, our director I'm talking to. I don't know if you heard me going into our break or coming out of our break. We're going to bring up the cherry blossoms. So this is that was my, there we go. That was my secret way of saying, cue the videotape. So Mike, I'm sure you know, having lived in New Jersey for the years you have, that there is the annual Cherry Blossom Festival that takes place in Essex County's beautiful Branch Brook Park, which straddles Belleville and Newark. And this is my attempt at videography, shooting it yesterday. This is a pretty good job. Cherry Blossom Fest. I try, I mean, it's from all the years of me kvetching at the photographers when I was at Channel 7 saying, aim over there. So this was me. You had to see everybody who was there walking like, no, frame, get it in frame. I was a pain in the neck. Nonetheless, take the family and go, even though it was a little chilly yesterday still. It was so nice on a Monday at midday to see thousands of people in the park. It felt so nice to see people socializing, strangers coming up to each other, asking to take pictures for them. Look at how nice that was. Families picnicking. What a nice thing to do. Get off the screen and do that.
And yet you will have another great weather day to do so today. It's a little chilly though, like you mentioned. So maybe
I just want to mention really fast. It runs another week and a half, but it's free. The cost is free. They have food vendors there and everything. So it's Branch Brook Park, which straddles Belleville and Newark in New Jersey. You have to just find parking in the neighborhood, but you can, and go have a good time. I'm sorry, sir, to interrupt, but I just had to throw that in.
No, I mean, it's important to get that out there because it is such this undiscovered gem for so many who live minutes away and not even know that it's there. So a very, very, very spring-like thing to do, spring-like activity. And I think you'll have some warmer weather upcoming this weekend. So we're not done with the great weather just yet, even though it's going to be a little chilly over the next few days. The warm weather locked out west for the time being. So back east, you see all of this rain. I mean, it's nice that we're in New Jersey over the next few days with the clear sky because it is raining buckets down in Florida and most of the southeast for the next several days. Almost 6 inches of rain forecast for the next week there. The only thing is you do have to contend with the allergies. New Jersey pollen on the high side. If you're an allergy sufferer, you'll probably feel it with the dry weather that sets up over the next several days. But out west, even as that wet weather continues, you get another round of wet weather there, thanks to this low that just kind of parks itself over Southern California and doesn't really move for the next several days, keeping the area kind of cloudy, a little damp, not anticipating steady rain, but it's this moisture off the Pacific that allows for some wet weather to return later on this week, Friday into Saturday timeframe. So at least the next few days should be dry until then. Again, our forecast out east looks to be a little cloudy at first and then see the sun return later on today. But dry weather sets up over the next several days. We'll give you more details on the warm-up into the weekend, Ken. That's coming up in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. Can't wait for that warm up. It is 48 degrees northern New Jersey right now, 46 degrees in Trenton, 60 degrees in Southern California in both Los Angeles and San Diego. Let's take a look at some of the accidents we have in the Northeast. We start in Garden State Parkway. We have a crash. This is southbound, south of exit 143C, Route 124 Irvington. Left lane is blocked. You can see the damage it's causing on the highway right now. We have a crash now on I-80, the local lanes westbound east of exit 65 Green Street in South Hackensack, and the right lane is closed there. We'll try to get you a camera shot on that in a little bit. Your upper and, excuse me. Sorry, just got this pop up. We have a crash now, and this has been actually for hours causing this problem. A crash with injuries and an overturned tractor trailer. It has been the case since the middle of the night. Vehicle off the roadway, New Jersey Turnpike southbound exit ramp at interchange 7A, which is 195 in Robbinsville Township, Central New Jersey. Left lane and shoulder block there. Very important because that's going to be there for a while. This just popped up. Debris on Route 322 eastbound west of 8th Street in Folsom. Right lane and right shoulder currently closed. Your Hudson River crossings actually not that bad today, except for the Lincoln. We had one issue with the Lincoln that seems to have been cleared up. So it's 25 minutes at both the Lincoln and the Holland. GWB upper and lower levels, only 15 minutes in. Look at that, upper level on the right, lower level on the left. I think a lot of people are still on spring break. They're away for the holidays, or now you have college kids on spring break this week. And so that's what you got. Very empty roadways there. We go to California quickly. We take a look at a traffic hazard reported, and this is on the 118 at the 405 in West Valley. We have a collision on 5181 Pomona Boulevard, East LA. Another collision, unknown injuries in Baldwin Park at the 60 and the Fairway Drive off-ramp. Those are the three major issues we have in Southern California. It is 36 minutes past the hour now. East Coast 7:36, West Coast 4:36. A creative, family-friendly event brought the world of video games to life right here in New Jersey. The downtown Cranford Super Mario Stroll invited families to explore local businesses, pick up themed goodies, and even enjoy a movie experience at the Cranford Theater, which is very cool, by the way. Nice place. It was held this past Friday and Saturday. It was part of an effort to bring the community together while supporting small businesses. Karen DeMayan is the downtown Cranford director, and Doreen Saya owns the Cranford Theater. We welcome both of you. What a great idea.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
This is so smart. You have so many people. You have the business communities and downtowns all up and down New Jersey saying, what do we do to get people out of the malls or off their screens and in the area to walk, to communicate, to socialize? Great idea. So talk about what inspired. Let's start with Karen. What inspired the idea behind the Super Mario Stroll event that happened in downtown Cranford?
Well, we're so lucky we have an independent theater in our town. It's the only one in Union County. And so every time that there's, an amazing movie coming to the theater, we try to do an event surrounding it. So Super Mario previewed this weekend, and we did the Super Mario Stroll. So there was a lot of fun things happening, and we brought 300 people to downtown Cranford to see the amazing businesses we have in town.
And think about what that does. You have everything from pizzerias and Chinese restaurants and little boutiques and everything. Cranford is just a great town. And the fact is, people who would otherwise have spent their weekend, their Friday and Saturday, either hanging out with friends at the house or at the mall and same old, you're providing them something new, fun. Maybe people who never explored downtown Cranford will have gotten that chance now and say, hey, Cranford, I live 2 blocks away. I've never done this. This is a great town. It's such a smart idea. How do events like this support local businesses and drive foot traffic? Karen, have you seen the businesses going crazy now with all the influx of customers? Have they all said that they really had a good response?
We've heard from our stores that they've seen like new faces. A lot of, people might come to the stroll and then they come back later to order a sandwich or a pizza, etc. So it's been a great way to introduce people outside the area to our amazing town. So our stores have really embraced it, and then they've continued to collaborate with each other, on other things. It's so easy to sit at home and have everything accessible, but we've really been trying to remind people how important it is to come to a local downtown and support our mom and pop stores.
And it's fun. It's different. I am amazed by my younger nieces and nephews who really never did that, who never walked outdoors from store to store. The idea of actually walking down a street where cars are driving and people are walking around. That's the way life was. I remember years ago in the car, I had my little niece in the back seat and the song Downtown, I'm showing my age. The song Downtown came on the radio, and I thought, sadly, she may never experience what it is to walk downtown, because downtown has been replaced by a mall or online. There is no downtown. The idea, if you listen to the words of that song, it's all about the excitement of seeing people and communicating with people and going to businesses. And I was so sad for her, but now people like you are bringing it back. Let's talk to Doreen. How long has the theater been there and been that kind of anchor spot in the downtown?
So the Cranford Theater was born in November of 1926. So we are actually coming up on our centennial this November. It's been in our family for a little bit over 25 years now. And it really is the community hub. It's where everybody gathers, comes together, everybody knows everybody's name. And the beauty of these events that the downtown brings to our businesses is it's always introducing new people to the theater, to our businesses. And, when one of us is successful, we're all successful.
Yeah.
The goal is to keep the downtown vibrant, relevant, full of life. And like you said, our goal at the theater and the goal of downtown Cranford is to get you off your couch, get you out of your house. And it's really in the beauty and the magic of shared experiences. So we share that initiative, and it's the Super Mario Stroll. And I'm going to tell everyone, Karen and I are big Super Mario video game players. We grew up with it. We still play. I actually brought my video gaming with me to the theater this weekend for my staff to play while the movie was playing. But I can't tell you the joy that these events bring to the theater, and really for like a lot of adults. And, a lot of us grew up with Super Mario, and it's been passed down to all these generations. So over the weekend, the opening weekend of this highly anticipated film, it was wonderful to see how many grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren were walking around downtown. I myself took my daughter on the stroll, and we got to visit a lot of the businesses. And what's wonderful for our businesses is people shop. And if they don't shop when they're there at the moment, they've discovered these stores and these businesses and these restaurants, and they come back at a future date.
Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship, isn't it? On top of that, you're teaching people a new way to enjoy themselves, a way that they'll pass down to their next generation. Because I think a lot of folks in the 60s and 70s, you weren't born yet, but in the 60s and 70s when I was around, a lot of those folks, I think they thought that the mall would replace the downtown forever. And have they been fooled that people are done with the malls in many cases? Not that there's a place, I think, for everybody, but the downtown still has to be vibrant. It is the heart of a town and a community, and you have to have that to bring everybody together. Very, very important. Karen and Doreen, great to have you here. Karen, of course, is in the downtown. She's the downtown Cranford director. Doreen Saya, owner of the Cranford Theater, legendary and iconic that it is. Thank you both for coming on this morning, and hopefully every town learns from your example. It's a great thing you did.
We'll see you in Cranford.
Well, I've been there many times. I love Cranford. It's a great town. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, it is 42 minutes past the hour, and we have a new dating app challenging the way we think about connection. We'll explain. And the phone lines are open. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. 45 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast for your city.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike. So Mother Nature apparently did not get the memo that spring has sprung.
Mm-mm.
It's a good thing I didn't plant my tulips.
No, they're duking it out, you know. I have to bring in the plants. Got some nice hanging plants for the backyard and thought, all right, if it gets cold, got to bring them in. And indeed, this is the time of year where it's a little too early to plant because we're back down and below freezing tonight. But if you have these sensitive outdoor plants, you just put them in the garage for a night or two, and then you can bring them back out. So no need to worry. The flowers will still be blooming throughout the afternoons, especially with all of that clear sky and sunshine across the country. There are some areas of showers that stay put off to our west, but our rain chances kind of dive south this week. All of this dry weather heads in our direction for the next several days. Florida gets pummeled with rain after they've had days of that rainfall, and even out west, just the Pacific Northwest tapping into a little bit of that wet weather over the next several days. Most of that area south of, say, LA, staying dry until we get to this weekend where some more rain comes in into the Saturday time frame. Out east, look at that clear sky, nice and dry heading into this weekend. So we have lovely weather ahead, and our next chance of rain kind of diminishes by the time it gets to us this time next week. So several days of that dry weather as the air moves toward us, giving us that lovely feel. You notice the clouds come in with the wind shift off of the water. That'll keep us cool into the end of this week. Thursday, Friday time frame, we start the mornings a little cloudy, then gradually clear out by the afternoon. And then with our next front coming through on Saturday morning, that should clear out, delivering nice warm weather through the end of the month, forecasting above average temperatures for most of the East Coast with equal chances of wet weather, although it looks to be a little bit drier down toward the southern end of New Jersey. Another check of your forecast, Ken, just for the Garden State. It's coming up in just about 10 minutes.
All right, sir, we will check it out. Thank you very much, Mike. It is 47 minutes past the hour, 48 degrees northern New Jersey, 46 Trenton. It is 59 actually in Los Angeles, 60 in San Diego. In terms of traffic, here's what we have going on. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway. Showed you this before. It's even getting worse now. So this is a crash, GSP southbound, south of exit 143C, Route 124, Irvington. Left lane is blocked. Look at this mess. This stretches for about a mile and a half, 2 miles. So again, 143C, Garden State Parkway southbound, south of exit 143C, Route 124, Irvington, with a left lane block, causing that mess. For those of you headed out to any of the area airports, if you're catching a flight out of town, because this is still spring break goes on for several weeks, depending on which college or grammar school you're in, et cetera. So right now, all of the area airports and their long-term parking facilities, they're all pretty much 95% or above in capacity. So you're asked to make a reservation for satellite parking near the airport, and just you don't want to show up, not have a place to park, and then miss your flight because you're looking for a parking place. So just make a reservation online, very easy. We go over to I-80. We have a crash on the local lanes westbound, east of exit 65, Green Street, South Hackensack. Right lane of 3 lanes closed, and that's causing this delay. It goes back for about 2 miles. There is a crash with injuries that's been happening actually since the overnight. Overturned tractor trailer, vehicle off the roadway, New Jersey Turnpike southbound, exit ramp by interchange 7A 195 Robbinsville. Left lane and shoulder blocked, and that's causing big delays. We have issues now. Lincoln Tunnel is about 30 minutes in. Holland is 20. GWB upper and lower levels, not so bad actually at all. This is only 10 to 15 minutes in. Upper on the right, lower on the left. We check the West Coast now in Los Angeles and Santa Fe Springs. There's a hit and run reported, no injuries, however, and this is on Peck Road at 2429 Peck Road. We have a hit and run with no injuries, East LA, 5181 Pomona Boulevard. And then we have a missing elderly person, silver alert reported at 2901 West Broadway in Los Angeles. Actually, yeah, that's been going on for a couple of hours. So if you see an elderly person wandering about in Los Angeles, it's only 4:50 in the morning, West Coast time. Make sure you call police. Don't attempt to approach them. It could be frightening. Just keep an eye on them, call police, and let them know where they are. It is 50 minutes past the hour. A new dating app is challenging the way we think about connection and accessibility. Dateability was created specifically for people with disabilities and chronic illnesses, offering a space where users can build relationships without stigma or pressure. Since launching in 2022, the app has expanded across 3 continents and is already celebrating real life love stories, including its first wedding earlier this year. Joining us now are the co founders behind Dateability, Jacqueline Child and Alexa Child. We thank you both for being here. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us.
Great to have you on. My director said they're so adorable. They look like they look like they could be twins. Tell everybody your relationship.
We're sisters. We're not twins. We're actually 4 years apart, but we are best friends and roommates, and of course, business partners. So we do spend all of our time together. So we have become one person.
It's awesome. And it just apparently our director Pam said when she asked you a question, you answered simultaneously. And she thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if they're twins. I said, well, I don't think they're twins, but they're beautiful nonetheless. Great to have you on. We appreciate you. So let's start with Jacqueline. Well, first of all, what inspired you to create Dateability? What was the impetus behind it?
The impetus was me having terrible experiences on the mainstream dating apps. So I am disabled due to chronic illnesses, and I just really struggled with dating and finding someone who would accept me and honestly not discriminate against me. And I struggled with my self-esteem after all that rejection. And Alexa, being the big sister, said that we needed to come up with a solution, and that's exactly what we did.
And how long did it take you both to put this together and come up with an app? I mean, it's one thing to have a great idea. It's another thing to produce an app, which today is one thing. I know we have AI, but I'm sure when you came up with Dateability, there was no AI to just quickly produce an app.
No, there wasn't, or if there was, we didn't know about it. We put pen to paper and designed what we wanted each page of the app to look like. We came up with the name, and then, we had hurdles finding the right people and the right engineers to bring our vision to life, but eventually we got there. And the whole thing to get to our first version took about a year, but we've seen several iterations of the app since. We've completely rewritten it. We've given it a visual facelift. And so, I think we're at a space now where we feel really, really confident in our app and the technology behind it. And so it has been a journey. It's been, 3 years in the making.
So when you looked at the traditional dating apps, what gaps would you say that you saw that you realized, oh my gosh, this has to be addressed? If only I could put here that I have this, blah, 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 or if only I could have a filter that allows me to be matched up with somebody. Is that the kind of thing that went through your minds when you looked at dating apps?
Yeah, there was just this lack of space for the world's largest minority. There are over 1 billion people with disabilities worldwide, and there was not a dating app or an online platform for people like me to connect. And so I wanted to make a place where you don't have to be afraid to disclose your disability, and you can have it on your profile along with your other information like your political affiliation or your religion, and just have it be a part of who you are and really normalize it. And that's exactly what we did.
How was it to promote that app initially? Was it a challenge? Did you just communicate with the different associations for people with challenges, physical challenges, and other disabilities, et cetera? How did you promote it initially?
Promotion was actually one of the easiest parts, and that surprised us. As female founders, female founders leading a disability app, we are definitely discriminated against when it comes to venture capital funding, but we have the eyes of the press. And so the first week we launched, we were featured in the Washington Post, and Jacqueline was really honest and told her story. And I think that really helped lead to, the legitimacy of the app. I think a lot of people are hesitant to join apps. The internet can be a scary place, but putting our faces out there, telling our story, being honest, really did help gain the confidence of the community.
And so because of the way you've set up the app removes the pressures around disclosing disabilities. So how important was that to make sure that that became an easy thing to do for people who use the app?
That was probably the most important part because for me personally, that was what gave me the most anxiety when dating. And so we have a section called the Dateability Deets, and you just select from a list of broad terms like wheelchair user or chronic illness, immunocompromised, and those show up on your profile. And it really normalizes disability and shows that while it's a part of you, it's not all of you, and there's really more to a person than their disability.
But and at the same time, though, I think an app like this is so important for people to, I think people who have disabilities have empathy for other people who have other disabilities more so than people who don't. Because I've been around people who have like no physical or emotional, whatever challenges. And what ends up happening is they roll their eyes after a while of hearing the same, quote unquote, the same story, not understanding that that is part of the day-to-day life of the individual. And it's not just, it's that it's more than just a story. It is the way they have to wake up and live their lives. And I think having somebody understand that, creating that sense of empathy must be so relieving to know that this person gets me. Is that what you found? I mean, really, when you created the app, is that what you found yourself?
That's exactly what we found. And, the disability community and the chronic illness community is so diverse. Diagnoses, even within the same diagnosis is different and it can manifest differently. But the perspective and the life experiences are often the same. And so that's exactly what we wanted to, focus on in the app. We also allow non-disabled people to join the app who do have empathy and understanding for the disability community. But yeah, that understanding and that shared life perspective, which I think is really, really important for a good foundation for a good relationship, is there. And it's, just easier to find rather than looking for it on the other mainstream apps. It's like a needle in a haystack on those apps. So for here, it's the main focus.
I love it. I love it. All right, Jacqueline Child and Alexa Child, sisters, beautiful inside and outside, the co-founders of Dateability. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. And thank you for all the folks out there who thought they could never find love, who understand them. Thank you for providing a place for them to do that. Great to have you both on.
Thank you so much.
You bet. It is 58 minutes past the hour. For those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, we'll be right back with live New Jersey news, opinion, weather, and traffic. Thanks for watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. Good morning. It's 8 a.m. Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Sunny and windy today, highs in the mid-50s. It'll feel a little chillier than that, though. Highs in the mid-50s, and windy is going to make it feel like the 40s. Sorry about that. Let's head to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Mike, the raspberries just came out. I couldn't help myself. I tell you what, it'll brighten us up though. The smile on our faces with the
Yeah.
spectacular Cherry Blossom Festival. Look at that. I just do this and it comes on.
We've got some
Bam.
amazing
Where we
weather
at?
to head out. Right. Exactly. Before the freeze, because a hard freeze can actually prevent a lot of those blossoms from lasting. And yet,
Oh,
that's what's forecast for Essex County later on tonight. Yes, our first freeze watch. Now, you may wonder, well, why is southern New Jersey under a freeze warning here in purple and the northeastern corner of the state a freeze watch, but the place where it typically is coldest in the northwestern corner of New Jersey, no advisories? Well, that's because the growing season hasn't begun in northwestern New Jersey, so there's no reason for the Weather Service to put out any freeze watches or warnings. It's only where the growing season started as of April 1st, south and east specifically of the Turnpike, and even right there, well, actually, technically east of the Turnpike, right there through Hudson, Essex, eastern Essex County, where the freeze watch is in place through tomorrow morning. So it does get chilly tonight with those air temperatures dipping down below the freezing mark for several hours after midnight, right through sunrise tomorrow. Right now, we're starting off in the 40s, beginning our day on a cool note. Still, we're about 5 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, and we'll keep a little bit of sunshine around this morning, but more sun progresses as the day goes along. Winds are generally light. We had a few light showers and sprinkles come through last evening. That's why the ground may be a little bit wet. You see the little bit of pollen dots on the car top from the light rain that fell overnight. Well, now through the rest of the day, as the sun works through, we climb up to pretty much our average high of 52 to 54 degrees statewide at all of the Audio Nova Clinic locations across New Jersey. Throughout the next few hours, temperatures slide into the 30s later on tonight. So it won't exactly feel warm this afternoon, especially with that northerly breeze. We're at or below the freezing mark for most of the state, even throughout tomorrow afternoon, struggling just to make it to 50 despite the sunshine. And then some clouds move in for Thursday, clearing by the afternoon, but it's that light breeze off of a very chilly 42-degree Atlantic Ocean that actually makes it give us that Southern California effect of the morning marine layer, and then the afternoon warms up and dries out, and we're back in the 70s by Friday afternoon. So big changes from morning to afternoon, depending on your location later on this week. Friday night sees a little bit of rain, and then we clear things out just in time for a beautiful weekend upcoming. So yeah, the highs look pretty each afternoon, but it's that morning, Ken, each and every morning, especially tomorrow, that's going to be mighty chilly.
all right, sir. Thank you very, very much. It is 51 degrees now, northern New Jersey, 47 degrees in Trenton, or as they like to say, Trenton. Trenton is the way it's pronounced locally, for those who don't realize. We check traffic in the area, and we have let's start with the Garden State Parkway. There's a crash in the express lanes northbound, north of exit 117, Route 36 in Aberdeen, left lane blocked. And now this is what we have a camera shot for. Crash on the Garden State southbound, south of exit 143C, Route 124 Irvington, with the right lane blocked. And this goes on for about 4 miles. So issues on the Garden State. I'm wondering how much of that has to do with the bright sunshine causing some sun glare for folks. If you are headed to any of the area airports, mind you that the long-term parking facilities are all pretty much booked. So if you're driving yourself, make sure you have a reserved parking space, or you you can go online, do it very easily, or use an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi or a friend. That's much, much better. You don't have to worry about getting there on time then. New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur, disabled vehicle. This is southbound, south of interchange 15W I-280 in Newark. That just popped up. Right lane is blocked. And we have an issue now on I-80. I-80, take a look at this. This is by Route 20 in Patterson, all lanes are open. We did have a lane closure. It's opened up, but the damage is done. Look at the residual traffic that we have as a result right now. And the other incident we have to tell you about, and this is over on the Turnpike, crash with injuries, overturned tractor trailer, vehicle off the roadway. This is southbound exit ramp by interchange 7A, 195 in Robbinsville, left lane and shoulder block. This has been a mess all night since 3 a.m. All the cameras, all the highway cams in that area, there are like 3 of them, all of them down for maintenance. So we can't show you the issue. But nonetheless, if you are by 195 there and the Turnpike in Robbinsville, that has been a mess all night long. So just try to avoid the area if possible. Mass transit right now is on a closest schedule, and your approaches to the Hudson River, Lincoln and Holland both reporting 20 minutes, GWB only 15 minutes, upper level on the right, lower on the left. This is a good thing. I think Pam, our director, says, where is everybody? I think they're on spring break. Everybody's out of town. They're on vacation because the airports are packed. So that tells you everything. When the airport parking lots are full, the highway traffic tends to be down. There's a good mathematical equation there. I'm sure someone will figure out. 6 minutes after the hour right now, President Trump called a proposed Iran ceasefire significant, but said it's not acceptable as currently written. The proposal would involve a 45-day ceasefire, which the president says is a no-go. Only he will call a ceasefire, he says. President Trump set tonight actually, is the deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face intense military strikes. He warned of attacks on essential Iranian infrastructure if a deal is not reached by this evening. Some weekend car thefts in South Jersey led police into high-speed chases. Just before 3 a.m. Saturday, residents in Mantua Township called police after allegedly seeing people trying to break into cars. The suspects jumped into the vehicles and led police on high-speed chases. One chase ended when a Kia crashed and flipped onto its roof after speeding over railroad tracks. A suspect had to be taken to the hospital while several others ran off. Police also chased after a Jeep and a Hyundai. Local officials are reminding everybody to make sure they lock their cars and take their key fobs with them. By the way, the car robbers cannot steal the cars unless you leave the fob in the car. Now, I want you to listen to that. People, all these 3 cars, they were stolen because somebody got out of the car, leaving the key fob in the car, just went inside. What are you, crazy? This is 2026. Who leaves their key fob in their car? Because you can't hotwire a car anymore. So the only way they could have started these cars is because the people just leave the key fob in the ashtray, get out of the car, leave the car unlocked, go inside, and leave the car in the street. Crazy. Don't do that. It is 8:08. The New Jersey Department of Human Services and Rutgers are opening the state's first crisis receiving stabilization center in Newark. It is meant to provide short-term care for individuals experiencing emotional crises, including substance abuse or suicidal thoughts. It's part of the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline system and serves as an alternative to emergency room visits. Hoboken police arrested 3 men after a late-night fight involving drugs and a semi-automatic handgun. The incident happened March 24th. Officers found crack, heroin, and drug paraphernalia during their investigation. Police say 38-year-old Thomas Bates was charged with weapons offenses, while 21-year-old Tajmir Mitchell and 21-year-old Justin Villafane face drug charges. All 3 were arrested and taken to the Hudson County Correctional Facility. If you're trying to sell a house these days, you probably notice it's taking a while to get buyers. New Jersey's housing market has softened quite a bit. That's forcing sellers to lower their prices. New Jersey, especially North Jersey, remains expensive, with median home prices about $750,000, while South Jersey averages a lot less than that, $360,000. Mortgage rates have gone up after briefly dipping below 6%. One person who will be going into a new house for her is the governor. Governor Mikey Sherrill announced plans to move into Drumthwacket. That is the state's official governor's residence in Princeton. I just like saying Drumthwacket. Drumthwacket. The historic mansion has been largely unoccupied for decades, with only a few governors choosing to live there since the 1990s. The move is meant to bring the governor closer to Trenton and state government. Remember, she lived up in Montclair. It's hard for her to schlep between Montclair and Trenton every day. So now she could go I'm imagining the governor, and I don't know this, but I would imagine during the week, she'll live in Drumthwacket, which is beautiful. And the governor should be in Drumthwacket. That's a good place, a beautiful place, and there's security there for her. And then on the weekends or whatnot, she could always go home to her home in Montclair and be with her family there. It is 8:10, and New Jersey State Police rescued a bear cub found alone in a ditch along I-78 in Union Township. Look at how cute this little guy is until he grows and he could scratch the eyes out of your head. Troopers carefully caged the animal and drove it to their barracks before turning it over to environmental officials, although I think this trooper was like, I'm not going to put him in a cage. He's cute. He could sit in the passenger seat. Until the mama bear comes around. No word on how the cub ended up along the highway or what condition it's in, but hopefully it is now in good hands with environmental officials. A national survey highlighted places where people go to relax alone, with New Jersey respondents naming 4 top locations. See if these are places that you agree with. The top spots include Veterans Memorial Park in Elizabeth, Van Vorst Park in Jersey City, Newark's Military Park, and the Patterson Free Public Library. Great library, by the way. Many people say they regularly look for a quiet place to sit and ponder, especially on their lunch breaks. 34% say they do so daily. 42% say they use the time to decompress. Where do 80% of the respondents unwind? In their cars. Mental health experts say small, quiet moments play an important role in emotional stability. It makes sense. People used to ask me all the time why I used to drive to work. And part of it was, of course, because I had to get into work at 3 a.m. in Manhattan. There wasn't really mass transit when I came in from New Jersey. But I used to tell them that at 10 a.m., when I would get done with work, there was nothing like getting into the car, listening to music, knowing that I could just take my time getting home, stopping by, doing shopping, whatever. For me, that was a way of decompressing. I enjoyed it. So I'm with a lot of those respondents. Coming up on 8:13, when we come back, we're taking 2 segments to talk about a very important subject: accessibility to fertility care. Now a new partnership is making that care more accessible. We'll talk about it. Sunny and windy today, highs mid-50s. It's going to feel a lot colder than that with the winds. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full Garden State forecast, and we will take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings live on 15 platforms, so you can't say you can't get to us. We're back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Ken Rosato at 8:15. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Sunny, windy today, highs mid-50s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike. So we have chilly morning. I have chrysanthemums that I was given yesterday. And because Chris
Okay.
is highly allergic to flowers, I can't have them in the house, which breaks my heart because I'm
Oh,
a flower kind of guy. So I have houseplants. I have basil
okay.
everywhere, but that's always until they start to flower. So I had to put them outside on my patio, and they looked at me like the plants, I mean, the flowers looked at me like, have you lost your mind? It is 40 degrees out.
Oh man, get them on the southern exposure. It felt nice yesterday afternoon with that warm sunshine. But then, yes, you stand in the shade and the air feels so chilly. That's what it'll feel like today, Ken. A very chilly feeling thanks to that breeze blowing in from the north and west. A lot of dry, clear air heading in our direction for the rest of the day. Even though we had some early morning showers, those have since moved east. Highs today, pretty decent in the sun, but you stand in the shade and it feels cool. We're back into the 50s across central New Jersey with those clouds clearing out today. Had a few spits of rain last night, just enough to kind of wet the car tops and wet the ground. But now through the rest of the afternoon, we stay dry. Nothing like the buckets of rain that have been falling down across the southeast, including Florida, several inches piling up over the last several days, and yet more to come. It's all about the cold that settles in across New Jersey tonight with a chill that gets us back down to below the freezing mark, not just tonight, but tomorrow night as well. Look at that, some low 30s there, hovering right around the freezing mark through Thursday morning. And then by Thursday afternoon, we're back in the upper 50s. So unless you find yourself along the immediate shoreline where there'll be some afternoon clouds and a light breeze coming in off of a 42-degree Atlantic Ocean, there's still plenty of sunshine to enjoy each afternoon. Cool again for Friday morning with clouds and then breaking through into clear sky. It'll be a lovely afternoon, highs back in the upper 60s, likely touching 70 briefly, and then a little late night shower Friday night into Saturday morning. But Saturday clears out nicely again with that clear sky. The next several days featuring that dry weather again with a quick sprinkle overnight Friday into Saturday morning. The weekend looks nice and dry and warms up as well. Beautiful weather on tap to start off next week. We're pretty dry going into next week as well. Maybe a few chances of rain, but overall the longer range trend looks to be drier than average, at least slightly below average in terms of rainfall. So 70 is our high for Saturday. Sunday make it to 65. It's dry both days, and that spring-like warmth sticks around going into next week, Ken.
See, all right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. In fact, Mike, let's talk about the cherry blossoms again. So
Yeah.
if Pam could bring them up. I went yesterday with Chris, went to the beautiful Branchbrook Park in Newark. It's actually partly in Newark, partly in Belleville. I used to live in Belleville, and we used to get very upset because everyone said it was in Newark. It's in both. It actually straddles both towns. And by the way, the same guy who designed Central Park designed Branchbrook Park. Did you know that?
Wow. Did not know
That's
that.
why it's so beautiful. If you have never been and you think, well, Newark is a rough city. There can't be places of beauty in Newark. There are lots of places of beauty in Newark. That park is one of them. Look at how gorgeous this is. And
And
it's
it's big.
absolutely, and
Big
it's
too.
big.
You could drive for a long time through that park and see those thousands of cherry blossoms.
Shaped like Central Park. It's more
Mm-hmm.
north-south, kind of like an
Right.
egg, perfect for Easter. So I noticed a lot of people out there, people took holiday pictures, even though it was after the holiday. I think
Yeah.
they wanted pictures that would last. So I saw people in like their
Sure.
Easter dresses and bonnets from Sunday, wearing them yesterday, which I thought was beautiful. And uh, parents took kids out. They had little tents put up. It was just so nice to see the way this was set up. Just for folks to. This is what parks are about. It's meant to bring
Yeah.
people together and out in the community. So it is definitely good to see. Now, my question is this: how impacted will those cherry blossoms? Oh, there's the cathedral, the Cathedral of the Sacred Heart, by the way, in Newark, which is, by the way, larger than St. Patrick's. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a basilica. It's a basilica
I
designated
did know
by, I
that
think, John
because
Paul.
When I was doing the first reading for my commencement from Seton Hall Prep, I tripped up the steps on the way up to the pulpit. So yeah, I know well how loud it echoes of the slap onto the
Sorry.
marble floor. So it's okay.
It is
I wasn't
gorgeous.
nervous.
It's a pretty place. No, it's a pretty place, but I'm sure you recovered fine, I'm sure, Mike, only as you can.
Memories, memories.
So are the cherry blossoms going to survive tonight?
I think they will. You know, there may be some that lose their kind of color and vibrancy, and they wilt a little bit. But we'll have to wait till Friday to really see the effects, to see if that real cold snap really does any, takes away the blossoms. Now, for us, it's beauty, but there's places in the world where, for instance, in the olive groves in California and out where olives are grown in Spain and Italy and Greece, where if there's the blossom of the olive tree, which is before the fruit comes, the actual olive itself,
Hmm.
if that is subject to freezing weather, then the whole blossom dies and there's a limited fruit and harvest later on in the season. So for us, it's beauty, but for other places in the world, it's more like agriculture where this is a problem. But we'll see how it impacts.
Fingers crossed. All right, we'll check back with you, Mike. Thank you, sir. 46 degrees right now, and you could feel it for sure. It's 47 degrees Trenton, 46 northern New Jersey, 45 degrees now in Vineland, 45 in Cape May. And in terms of traffic, we do have a few issues to tell you about. There's a crash on the Garden State Parkway, express lanes northbound, north of exit 117. That's in Aberdeen. All lanes open, just causing some delays through there. Another issue on the Garden State. This is a crash southbound, south of exit 143C, Route 124, Irvington. Right lane is blocked through there. Crash on 295 northbound, south of exit 29, Route 30, Barrington. Left lane and right lane. You hear that? The left lane and right lane are impacted. So cars must have crashed and gone off into their respective lanes, but that is causing problems. So you're going to have to get into the middle, and I'm sure people are taking their time. So that's going to cause a lot of traffic. I-78, we have a truck fire now west of exit 15, Route 173 east in Union Township. Two right lanes and right shoulder are closed, and we have a disabled vehicle, New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur southbound, south of interchange 15W. I-280 in Newark, right lane is blocked. Another issue, since 3 a.m., there is a crash with injuries and an overturned tractor trailer. Vehicle off the roadway, New Jersey Turnpike southbound, exit ramp interchange 7A, 195 interchange in Robbinsville with the left lane and shoulder still blocked. Mass Transit's on a close, and your Hudson River crossings right now all looking pretty good, actually. 15 to 20 minutes, Lincoln and Holland, and only 10 to 15 GWB upper and lower levels, both moving very well. Upper level on the right there, lower on the left. It is 22 minutes past 8. A new partnership is aiming to make fertility care more accessible and affordable for families across the country. Sesame has arrived and teamed up with Costco and IVI RMA North America to create a coordinated care model designed to reduce costs and simplify the fertility journey for patients. Joining us now is David Goldhill, co-founder and CEO of Sesame, the healthcare marketplace that connects patients with doctors for affordable upfront pricing. We say good morning to you, David.
Good morning, Ken.
About Sesame itself and about this new partnership.
Yeah. Well, Sesame, as you mentioned, is a marketplace that connects patients with doctors. It's for patients who pay directly for their care, either because they don't have insurance, they have very high deductible insurance, the insurance doesn't cover services they need. What Sesame does is we deliver, as you said, transparent upfront prices for a very broad variety of healthcare services. Specifically here, we're working with our longtime partner, Costco, and the country's largest fertility clinic, EVRMA, to provide a new coordinated care model for fertility treatment that gets at a lot of the issues in fertility, not least of which is cost.
We think of Costco, we think of big box supplies. How on earth did Costco get involved? Is it because they have a pharmacy there and they have medical care as well? So talk about how that happened, how that became part of the
So I
group.
think you're exactly right. It's because they are in the pharmacy business. Costco has one of the country's biggest pharmacies, and they were able to work out an arrangement where they could get meaningful discounts that they pass through to their members on fertility drugs. And fertility drugs tend to be a very large share of the cost of fertility. We've been working with Costco on providing services for their members at a discount for several years, and so this is something we've been discussing for quite some time. The key to this partnership is that for somebody looking at fertility, which can be a very intimidating journey of uncertain length, the combination of the three of us working together make sure there's a coordinated approach. It's easy to use and very transparent to the patient. The journeys differ from patient to patient, so it's not a sort of simple thing to coordinate. And that at each stage, all three partners are committed to lowest possible prices for care, delivering an extraordinary value relative to what else is out there in the fertility space.
So talk about that fertility. Is it because couples are waiting longer? Women are entering the workplace and waiting till their 30s and 40s, and even in some cases, early 50s, to if they haven't gone through menopause, obviously, to have children. Whereas back in the day, it was late teens, early 20s. And same thing with men. Men are significantly less fertile in their 30s, 40s, 50s than they are in their 20s. Is that one of the reasons why the fertility scene has become so large?
So absolutely. I mean, it's probably the major reason in terms of raw numbers, but there's lots of different reasons. I should mention that in my own family, two of our four, our last two children, we got through IVF. And in our case, we decided to have more children more later in life than would have been possible before. But there's lots of different reasons, I think, related to the broad range of reasons and type of family structures in which people have children now. And I think the important thing about IVF is it brings levels of choice and options to people who before, because of age, of physical condition, of their relationship status, or their own choices in life, would have had difficulty having children of their own. And, obviously at a time where the birth rate's not so high, I think this is a wonderful thing for society that we've increased the number of people who can have children.
Indeed. You also have cases we didn't bring up, second times around. You have people who get married, second marriage, and they're a little older, and they decide, you know what, we'd like a child of our own. And then I'm sure that plays into it as well. We have a lot of that happening in our society. And you're right. It's good to see that people have options, and it's good to see that people in our country and other countries are having kids again, because I think we went through a period where, and it probably stems from the 1960s and 70s, when all we heard was the world is overpopulated, too many people on the planet, we're all going to die, there's not enough food. To now we realize we have such an overabundance of food that it's sitting in warehouses and rotting. And one study showed that if you took every human being on the planet, every living human being, 7 billion, you could actually fit them onto the island of Manhattan. Of course, we'd be kind of squeezed shoulder to shoulder. But the idea that the Earth has too much population is not true. And there are 100 studies that show now we could probably tolerate twice the current population without having significant issues. So, the idea that now I think people are now realizing, you know what, maybe I won't have 26 kids, but I should have one or two. And it's a nice thing that people have that option. Now, you talked about Costco and the partnership here too. I'm just seeing here, and I'm stunned by this, savings of up to 80% on medications.
Yeah.
80%. So that's a game changer for couples, isn't it?
It is a game changer. I think when we've looked at the combination of the three partners together, we're looking, again, depending on your specific situation, somewhere between $5,500 and $10,000 in savings per cycle of IVF. And not every family is fortunate enough to conceive and deliver in a single cycle. So this can get quite costly for families, and I think it's been one of the major reductions in availability of IVF, even as it's become more available. That cost has kept many families out. This is going to be a major difference in cost than what's available otherwise.
Amazing. And is this available nationwide right now?
It is available nationwide. Sesame is nationwide. Costco obviously is nationwide. And our partner EVRMA has got the largest number of clinics in the country. They're everywhere. I think in New Jersey, I believe there's 11 different locations for EVRMA clinics.
Amazing.
Which, obviously a very, very large number.
Amazing. David, please share the website for everybody.
Well, you can come to us through sesamecare.com. Obviously, Costco members can come directly through Costco as well. But sesamecare.com not only has fertility, but all the other services. We offer everything from primary care to almost every imaginable specialist. Weight loss, mental health has been a very important part of Sesame, and now with Costco Fertility.
Amazing. And thank you for offering that service for people because it's much needed today with a healthcare industry that's a mess. Thank you for having that marketplace for people. David Goldhill, co-founder and CEO of the healthcare marketplace Sesame, just like it sounds, SESAME. Thank you, David, for coming on this morning.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. More news for New Jersey when we come back. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Back in 2 minutes. Very good morning. It is Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, 46 degrees northern New Jersey, 47 degrees in Trenton. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:33, and welcome back to On New Jersey Morning. Sunny and windy today, highs in the mid-50s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with a detailed Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike. So we are looking at sunshine today, but
Yeah.
windy and chilly. So even though the temp is going to hit the 50s, it's going to feel a lot
hmm
colder than that, right?
That's the thing about it, even with the sunshine today, that cool spring breeze will make it feel like winter, especially as the day goes along, because our high of 56 degrees basically happens around noon, and then the temperature drops like a rock into the afternoon, dropping into the 30s later on tonight. So as soon as we head the late afternoon hours, it feels much, much cooler. Even with that, the trees blowing around that pollen of the high level today and tomorrow. It's been pretty dry, and with that dry weather allows for those pollen grains to float in the atmosphere a little bit longer. That'll be the case even though today's high of the average high is 59 degrees. We'll see those nice now 13 hours of daylight. Sunrise at 6:30, sunset closer to 7:30. With all of the light sprinkles that we've had over the last few days, most of the southern half of the state really picked up a healthy dose of rain over the last week or so. And now our rain chances over the next several days are quite low. 10% chance today and a 10% chance on Saturday. That's really the Friday night into Saturday system. So very dry over the next week. That will help to bring back some more of those flowers. So forget April showers because it's more like an April winter chill that sets up for tonight and tomorrow. It's the high pressure that keeps our skies nice and clear, the dry weather, and the wind off of a 42-degree Atlantic Ocean also helps in that chill, allowing for a few morning clouds on Thursday morning and Friday morning. Then afternoon sun helps us warm back into the 60s. Little chance of rain late Friday night into Saturday, and then back to a stunning, beautiful weekend. Lots of sunshine on the 7-day forecast, even as we head into the weekend, where highs climb back up to 70 by Saturday. Notice the overnight lows down in the 20s late tonight into tomorrow. So yeah, it's another round of cold weather, but that should be it going forward. Even into next week, we climb into the upper 70s by Monday. So some very mild weather. Also the warmest day on the 7-day for the shore points back in the 60s a week from yesterday. So really, really beautiful weather on the way, and we only keep warming up into the next week or so, Ken.
All right. Well, we'll take the warming up part. By the way, Mike should mention we're on the TikTok right now. I do, behind the scenes streaming of the show on either Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, sometimes X. Right now we're on TikTok live, and I got a group of people watching us on a cruise ship. What cruise ship? Where are you guys? Tell us. They're streaming us on a cruise. There must be New Jersey people. So of course, only New
Clearly.
Jersey people streaming us on if you're on a cruise ship, you should be out on the deck and you have a cocktail and get some sunshine.
You kidding me?
Unless it's
They
raining.
probably own 3 businesses. Got to check email, follow up with everybody. You got to pay for that $30 a day internet, you know?
I love it. Well, nonetheless, hello to all the folks on the cruise ship. I'll let you know if they let us know where they are.
Okay.
But nonetheless, beautiful, wonderful. And we'll take a look at those cherry blossoms again in a little bit. Mike, thank you very much, sir. It is 47 degrees northern New Jersey, also 47 in Trenton, 46 degrees now in Cape May, and 45 in Vineland. 8:36 is our time. In terms of traffic, we have a truck fire now on I-78 westbound west of exit 15, Route 173 East Union Township. Right shoulder is closed. 2 issues on the Garden State Parkway. The first is a crash. This is located, southbound south of exit 143C. So we do have the camera for this. This is, again, crash southbound Garden State, south of exit 143C, Route 124 Irvington with the right lane blocked. That's been causing this issue for over half an hour. The other issue we have a little further south is a crash on the GSP Express lanes northbound north of exit 117, Route 36 in Aberdeen. All lanes are open there. We have a disabled vehicle on the Turnpike Western Spur southbound south of interchange 15W, Route 280 in Newark with the right lane blocked. And then another crash. This is on the Turnpike with an overturned tractor trailer and a vehicle off the roadway at the southbound exit ramp interchange 7A by 195 Robbinsville. Left lane and shoulder currently blocked. The Lincoln and Holland Tunnel only 15 minutes in. GWB upper and lower levels moving very well actually right now. Upper level is on the right, lower level is on the left, and either way it's only going to cost you 10 minutes into upper Manhattan. 8:38 is our time. President Trump called the proposed Iran ceasefire significant, but said it is not acceptable as currently written. The proposal would involve a 45-day ceasefire, which the president says is a no-go. He says only he will declare a ceasefire. President Trump set this evening as the deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face intense military strikes. He warned of attacks on essential Iranian infrastructure, including all of their bridges and their oil facilities, if a deal is not reached by this evening. U.S. officials have detained relatives of the late Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in Los Angeles. Secretary of State Rubio revoked their green cards over support for and promotion of Iran's totalitarian theocratic government. Soleimani's niece and grandniece constantly post pictures of themselves online living a luxurious, glamorous California lifestyle, wearing expensive clothing and driving luxury cars. They are now in ICE custody and may be deported. They are living up like celebs, something they wouldn't be allowed to do in Iran. And now that their uncle Soleimani is dead, looks like they don't have a place to go. They'll probably be deported to Iran and then arrested when they get there. If they tried doing that in Iran in the past, they would have also been arrested. They're not wearing burqas or anything. They're just out living the California lifestyle and flaunting the money they probably stole from the people of Iran. It is 8:39, and President Trump threatened to jail journalists over leaking sensitive U.S. government information that could have resulted in the deaths of U.S. airmen in Iran. And before you say, they have a freedom of the press right, Ken, it's the Constitution. You do have a right, freedom of the press. I'm a member of that press. You do not have a right to reveal sensitive information that could cost members of the military their lives. That is where you violate law. And it has been done many times in the past, and the US government has jailed journalists for doing it, and it has been upheld by the Supreme Court. So people who don't know history and who've never read history don't get it, that yes, we do have freedom of the press, but not at the expense of the lives of our military members or their safety. If you are a member of the New York Times and you think you could break that news because you're independent, you do so and it costs a U.S. service member their life or puts them in danger, you go to jail. And I'm fine with that. Don't know about you, but I'm fine with that. The story could wait an hour until they're out of harm's way, and then you break the story. You don't have to break it when they're in harm's way. But too many people think of themselves as more important while they're behind their mighty computer terminal while a member of the military is getting shot at in Iran. President Trump said the government would push media outlets to reveal their sources under these circumstances. The administration launched an investigation into the leak involving a second airman who was safely rescued from Iranian territory over the weekend. Critics argue that the move raises First Amendment concerns, but as we mentioned, there are many examples of the past where people have gotten jailed for breaking that information when they shouldn't have. The crew of Artemis II has surpassed the record previously set by the Apollo 13 astronauts in 1970. I was 3 back then, by the way, for the farthest distance ever traveled from our home planet. It happened just before 2 p.m. yesterday. That record was set by the Apollo 13 crew in 1970. Then the Orion spacecraft made its closest approach to the moon at 7 p.m. last night, coming within 4,000 miles of the surface. Orion then reached the farthest point from Earth just a few minutes later, achieving a maximum distance of 253,000 miles. There was also a 40-minute period of time when Artemis II was out of communications with Earth as they were on the dark side of the moon, but they came out of it about 7:30 last night and were once again able to communicate. They have already gone more, imagine this, more than halfway through their mission. They'll be back in just a few days. It was like yesterday. It was Wednesday when we interviewed members of NASA, Wednesday morning on this broadcast. Very exciting to know that they have come around the biggest part of the mission. It is currently 47 degrees in New Jersey. And when we come back, we'll talk about the Integrity Playbook, a training program for ethical leaders at New Jersey companies, both large and small. Sunny and windy today, highs mid-50s. It'll feel cooler than that, though, with the wind. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full Garden State forecast, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. You're watching Now New Jersey Mornings, back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:45, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Sunny, windy today, highs mid-50s. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Like, it's worrisome when a squirrel comes to your back glass door and does one of these. Help. Help. I mean, I
Yeah.
think they came out of hibernation the other day and they were like, it's nice and warm out. And then they got a little
Mhm.
surprise from Mother Nature.
It's true. It's true. A little bit of a shock to the system with that throwback to winter. So much cold weather on the way for tonight. Frost and freeze warnings across southern New Jersey. Northern New Jersey doesn't have them because, well, you're not technically in the growing season just yet, but it may threaten some of those cherry blossoms down in Branch Brook Park and over in Belleville and Newark as the weather dips down to the freezing mark tonight and tomorrow night. Once we tap into the rest of the month's dry weather, the forecast looks to be below average in terms of rainfall, but well above average in terms of warmth right through the third week of April. Look at that warmth surging eastward, encompassing New Jersey with that above average temperature. That'll look great, and you can already see glimpses of that on the 7-day. We go from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s, all the way into the 80s a week from today. It will feel lovely once we tap into next week's warmth with that dry weather prevailing. So small chance of rain later Friday night into Saturday morning, but beyond that, it is dry going into next week. Even 80s at the shore with a lovely southwesterly breeze, kind of holding off a little bit of a sea breeze there. So beach weather, dare I say, in about a week's time? Yeah, you bet. Maybe for a few hours in the afternoon, it actually will feel nice and mild, Ken.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you what,
81.
because I shot it yesterday, let's abuse the cherry blossom video if we could. Let's just pop it up for a second again, because our next guest, Evie, used to be my neighbor in Belleville, and we used to live blocks away from Branch Brook Park. Well, maybe not blocks away, but close enough. Close, like a 5-minute drive from Branch Brook Park. So we would go down, and we'd been there together, actually, our families together, seeing the beautiful Cherry Blossom Festival, free of charge, open through the 17th.
Mhm.
But the peak is like happening in the next few days, unless the deep freeze that Mike is talking about kills all the cherry blossoms. So let's hope that
Yeah.
doesn't happen. They're so beautiful. And by the way, do you know, I'm sure you know this, we have more cherry blossoms at Branch Brook Park than they have in Washington, D.C.
It's my favorite fact about New Jersey. And when you tell people that, they go, "What? Yeah. Yeah, take a drive through Branch Brook Park and it seems endless."
It goes on and on and on. Plus, at least at Branch Brook Park, you have a slightly lower chance of getting shot to death than you would in Washington, D.C. So look at it this way. There's that. No, Branch Brook Park is beautiful. I walked it yesterday. The neighborhood is great. There are great little restaurants, cool little places to eat, and they got a food truck thing going on there. It's a cool place. I love it. I used to live, like I said, 5 minutes away from there. It's a great place. So go check it out. Bring the family, do some picnicking, and enjoy it. Thank you, Mike. We'll check you
bet.
again tomorrow.
See you
All
tomorrow.
right, sir. 47 degrees right now, northern New Jersey and in Trenton, 46 down the shore, Cape May, and 45 in Vineland. In terms of traffic, we have an issue now. Pothole repairs on the Commodore Barry Bridge westbound from New Jersey to Pennsylvania side. In Chester, 2 left lanes closed. Speed is only 25 miles an hour as a result. If you are headed to the area airports, understand that the parking facilities are all pretty much full. So make sure you either book your parking in advance online, or you get driven to the airport, or else you're going to miss your flight. We have a crash with injuries now. Overturned tractor trailer vehicle off the roadway, New Jersey Turnpike southbound exit ramp interchange 7A, 195 in Robbinsville. Left lane and shoulder are blocked. And we have a disabled vehicle, New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur southbound, south of interchange 15W, 280 in Newark, with the right lane blocked. Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland, only 10 minutes. GWB 10 to 15. Take a look at the upper and lower levels. They are lovely. Take advantage of getting into Manhattan on this day, because next week will be a whole different story, I'm sure. It is 8:49. If you run a company, you'll want to know about what is called the Integrity Playbook. It is a training program for ethical leaders at companies, both large and small, by the way. Evie Wentink is a culture and compliance strategist who spent years working for New Jersey companies developing compliance programs, helping to ensure they are in compliance with all federal and local laws. What used to be something the GM used to just keep an eye on now requires literally a whole department to keep running smoothly and keep you out of lawsuits. We say good morning to you, Evie.
Good morning, Ken. So happy to be here.
Good to have you on, my friend. I think a lot of people don't realize that compliance, I like to look at compliance like the tax code, right? Every year they have updated laws and rules, and each company better know what their city, state, and federal governments have updated that year, or else they can get in big trouble with their employees, couldn't they?
Well, yes, they could. And it's not about knowing just the rules, but having policies, but making sure this is where the integrity playbook comes into play is making sure your managers understand it and understand how to apply it in situations that are like, last minute hotspot situations on the spot. You need to know what to do. And that's where the integrity playbook comes to play because you're not going to remember the entire policy. You need to remember how to apply it. Recently, I was given a training to a group of managers, and they all thought of themselves as the experts in compliance. But when it came to actually applying it and understanding how it plays out in the real world, in the day-to-day operations, they were very that they lack the knowledge to be able to answer things on the spot. So that's what the companies have to realize.
That's fascinating. And I know
Yeah.
now that there are companies using AI to screen resumes, make credit decisions about us. Why should
Yeah.
we be concerned? And why should they be concerned about too much reliance on AI?
We should be concerned because everyone is running into applying AI in any way possible to create maybe faster decision-making process, but they are not having good governance programs around it. They're not understanding how to use the data, how the data is trained. They're not even training people on interpreting the data. So I can tell you a specific example. You mentioned credit, but let's talk about hiring practices. Maybe somebody says on their job description that they wanted an energetic person, and AI will get rid of and reject every single person who has maybe 15 plus year experience. So now you are impacting a group. And that's a real case scenario that happens in the HR world. So if you think about it, at some point, somebody's going to catch on to it. The problem is that companies aren't training on the internal side of things how to interpret the data and say, hey, maybe we have a problem here. We should review how the AI is being trained and look at those instances, right? So a couple years down the road, you're going to see a lot of lawsuits of discrimination, of bias, in not only in the HR case scenarios, but credit scenarios. Maybe if you're in a certain neighborhood, they're not going to approve your credit applications. That's going to be a desperate impact for that particular group. So I think companies really need to step back. Yes, use AI, but understand where you're using it, how are you using it, how your employees want to use it, right? But then have a good governance program where you get the experts from the internal company in the room. Don't operate in silos. Create documents like code of data ethics to understand how do you want to use the data, and really train your people, train your employees, train your managers, and understand where is AI used and how. I think that's the first step before you use AI. But I feel like it's been like the wild, wild west where everybody's just saying, yes, we want to use AI for this. Yes, we want to use AI for that. But nobody is saying like, wait a minute, there is risk with it. We have to slow down and let's get our ducks in the row and just use it responsibly.
Evie, I even saw that some companies judge prospective candidates using AI analysis of their facial expressions, like from their
Yep.
pictures. Is that even legal?
So that is not illegal, but if it, it's not illegal yet, but there's certain laws, certain states, New York City, Illinois have certain kind of laws around it. But the problem is how the data is interpreted. Is it hurting somebody or certain group? That would be illegal. And then you ask who is responsible, right? When something bad happens with AI, it's the company who is implementing AI are the ones who will be responsible. I just recently saw a post on LinkedIn, somebody made a prediction, 5-year prediction, and that had to do with the financial industry, that there is going to be 1.2 billion. I mean, it was a headline, he made it up, but he kind of felt very strongly that that's what the future is going to look like, is huge, huge fines and penalties for AI being implemented irresponsibly. You know, we really have to
Interesting.
slow down, and we have to understand where do we want it? Where do our employees want to use AI? Maybe they have a good use case scenarios and reason to. And then just talk to the people within the organization. I mean, I was working in an organization a couple years back when they were implementing AI. Number one, they said, don't use AI. That was the policy, right? Honestly, being in compliance, I don't think that's attainable and reasonable to say don't use AI. Then they only included HR and IT as the part of the core team of the governance team. That's also not a good thing. You want to include people from different areas of the organization so that you can together come up with the best kind of a governance program that you can have. I am partnered with a organization called For Humanity, and they're really here to educate everyone and anyone on anything to do with AI. And they also suggest you need to have an ethics committee that looks at the data, looks at the biases, and has better understanding and input on what that looks like. So, you know, really a lot of education is important. And if you're only having HR folks who are handling HR matters on making decisions about AI, they don't know the things that we in compliance do or we in legal do. So it's good to be all together in the room and making those decisions.
Good deal. Evie, what is a website for more information or so they can see the Integrity Playbook?
Integrity Playbook, yes, it is www.ethicalEdgeExperts.com. And I just want to make a note, you had put this chart on the screen before, and it's really about the human and AI oversight. It is not one level. It should be mandated by the level of risk that you have. And if people are more interested about what that should look like, they should feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to walk them through the chart.
Good deal. Cultural and compliance strategist Evie Wenting, thank you for coming on this morning, my friend. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You bet. And that'll do it for Mornings with Ken Rosato. Have a good one. We'll see you again tomorrow morning at 7. Take care.